Good morning. My name is Melissa Simpson and I'm with All Saints Episcopal Church. This is Sunday school for our kindergarten through 5th graders, but anyone can watch. I've been thinking about the Beatitudes, and especially with what's going on in the world today, I thought it would be a great segue into teaching our kids about Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and what he talked about. I also wanted to point out real quick that even though I'm not wearing a mask, this is my mask, and I wear it not to protect myself per se, but to protect others, because if I am asymptomatic with COVID-19 or anything like that, I don't want to give that to people. So this is my mask, and later on when I do the recording for our service, I'll be wearing that while I'm around people. I wear it to the store. I wear it anywhere that's not my home. And I also wanted to say that if you don't have a mask, I'd love to make sure you get a mask. So you can comment below or email me, call or text, and I will make sure that you get a mask. And there's a nice lady in town that I've been buying them from, and I can get kid sizes and adult sizes, or we have some ladies here that have been working to make some masks as well. We want to make sure that everyone is protected. So you may have heard of the Sermon on the Mount or the Sermon on the Plain. These are found in the Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke. Whatever the case, the themes laid out by Jesus outline a whole new way of thinking about God and each other. Jesus spoke to a crowd that was probably mostly made up of the Jewish working poor. These people didn't have much say-so in what their lives looked like and were unhappy with the government. They knew the ancient teachings of the 10 Commandments that said, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt obey God, brought down by Moses and God. And they weren't quite sure where Jesus fit, since his teachings took to the ancient law to another level. So in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 48, Jesus says several times, "You have heard it said," but then goes on to redefine the religious law in broader terms with new interpretations. So he's harking back to the 10 Commandments. Jesus tells his listeners that although the law says you shall not murder, we also place ourselves outside the realm of God's perfect communion when we are angry with a brother or sister. When we focus specifically on the passage of the Beatitudes, we can see that Jesus brings his radical reinterpretation, this new idea to the people, that when we think about who is blessed and why they are blessed, we may be surprised by what Jesus says. Given the trends we see in human nature, even today, we expect the rich and powerful to be the ones who are blessed. But Jesus completely flips that around. And he says, no, blessed are the poor, the powerless, the sad, the downtrodden, the people who work for peace. So I hope that this helps you, and perhaps your family watching, give a new idea to the values of God versus the values commonly illustrated in our society. To talk about being meek and poor in spirit and merciful and pure in heart are not attributes generally thought to be important or valuable in today's world. Sometimes we covet, or we say that, look at that person over there, they're doing so well, look at their nice new car, their big fancy house, their incredible job. But those are not the same type of values in what the kingdom of heaven looks like versus the kingdom of this world. So wherever Jesus went, people followed him to hear his word and see what he might do next. One day, a large group of people followed Jesus up on a mountain. Jesus saw them and he sat down and began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be fulfilled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So being blessed means having God's favor. Blessings are special gifts from God that remind us how very much we are loved. However, being blessed doesn't always mean we are happy or that things go perfectly, right? God understands how much it hurts to be sad and to mourn, but God promises that we will be comforted and strengthened in those times. God knows how hard it is to work for peace, but promises that when we do, we are acting as part of God's kingdom. Some of these words may be hard to understand, but we will spend the next several weeks, at least through June, learning what each of these statements mean and how they might affect the way we treat each other. We will see that we can discover about the things that Jesus says will be blessed. You know, some of these phrases are kind of hard to understand, but we are going to spend the next few weeks dissecting the Beatitudes. We're also going to be talking about it in our EYC Episcopal Youth Community Zoom chat on Wednesdays. We meet every other Wednesday on Zoom, and we'll be meeting this Wednesday. You know, there's even many adults like myself who struggle to figure out what Jesus is talking about in this story, but we're going to work on it too. And as we do this work, we are hungering and thirsting for righteousness. So we are blessed. So here's some questions. You can think them out loud, or you can talk about them with your family. But what does it mean to be blessed? For you, what does it mean to be blessed? What are some blessings from God? What do you think poor in spirit means? Is it someone who's financially poor? Is it someone who is sad? Is it someone who feels lonely? What does it mean to show mercy to someone? So in the Beatitudes I just read, Jesus tells us who is blessed and who has received God's favor. But sometimes it's hard to think of someone who is mourning, so someone who's sad, as someone who is blessed. It's kind of hard to be in that moment, isn't it, when you're sad? Someone's made fun of you, or you've got your feelings hurt by someone that you loved. You stubbed your toe. You didn't make that basketball hoop to win the game. So many examples. And it's important to realize that being blessed isn't the same as being happy. Sometimes even when we are blessed, we don't exactly feel happy. But there's a kind of special feeling knowing that you are blessed. And Jesus said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." Have you ever been really upset about something that maybe happened in your life, and someone came and gave you a big hug to help you kind of see it in a different way? You know, even in that moment, the feelings are still there, but you feel a little bit better because of that hug of someone who comforted you. And I consider that a blessing from God. You know, on a personal note, I lost my father 1.5 years ago. And it was the hardest thing that I've ever endured. And I sat and I cried and I was so upset. And I was upset at God. And God sent 2 wonderful women to come sit and comfort me and just hold me while I cried. And while it didn't take the pain away of my father being gone, it just wrapped me in a blanket of love, knowing that they were there for me. They were my blessings. So we have lots and lots of blessings from God. I bet you can think of them right now. Things that have just made you feel so good even in times that were not so good. So can you think of some? You know, right now in quarantine, it's very hard. Everybody wants to be out and about. Trust me, I'm standing in the Episcopal Church and I miss hearing you guys. I miss seeing Lapo A and Pretty and Giovanni and D-Sim and Ruth and JT and Destiny. I miss seeing Teresa and Anna and Ella and Karina, all the kids. I miss all of you. But I'm blessed to know that you guys are okay and at home. I'm blessed that I have a home and a wonderful church that supports not only myself and my family, but our community. I'm blessed that I have a roof over my head and food, clothes to wear. I'm blessed that today's my husband's birthday and we get to celebrate that. You know, there's so many blessings around us. Sometimes when it gets to be that moment where you're really sad, sometimes it helps to just take a deep breath and look around and see all the special little gifts from God that we did nothing to earn or deserve. They are just God's way to remind us that we are loved. So for thousands of years, people have been celebrating God's blessing in a lot of different ways. Our Jewish ancestors used a cup of blessing, a cup filled with wine that we shared with friends and family at special meals like Passover and other special occasions like weddings. And you've probably seen it during our Eucharist, right? The cup. You'll hear people say the cup of salvation, and you can either dip your little wafer in there or take a small drink. So today I would like you guys at home to work on what your blessing cup might look like. So if you have any crayons or anything like that and paper, like draw out what your blessing cup would look like. And I've brought a few today to look at. This is one that I received when I went for a conference called Time of Joy. It's a beautiful little cup. I keep this in my office. And then this one was made by Katie McCormick, who does so many things for our church and is our parish administrator. It's really cool. Underneath it, there's a little switch and it turns into a light. It's pretty cool. And then this one's in our classroom. It's a very simple cup. So you see, each one is kind of different in how they look. And I drew a little template up here. But you can draw your blessing cup however you would like, and you could make it as fancy as you want or as simple as you want. So work on that today, or just this week. We have so much time. Okay, so if you have a favorite cup at home, maybe a real cup, maybe you've drawn your cup, maybe you've made your cup out of clay, Play-Doh, I'm going to share with you a prayer or a liturgy that you can do at home. And I will share this with your family as well. So I'm going to take my cup. Gracious God, we stand in this circle and raise our blessing cups to thank you for all things you have given us. Remind us of all of our blessings and help us to hunger and thirst for you. Amen. Blessed are those who are hungry and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. May our cups remind us of all the blessings we have. Amen. May our cups encourage us to be blessings to others. Amen. May this circle be a place where we can connect with you and with others who care for us. Amen. And you can add your own petitions here too with your family. Blessed are we who stand here today. Open our eyes to see all the blessings in our lives and help us watch for ways to be a blessing to other people. So this time, like maybe your cup's filled with grape juice or water or anything like that, you could pass it around to each other and take a little sip. And maybe you might ask people to, when they take a sip, they could say a simple phrase, like they take a sip and go, "Thanks be to God." Another option you could do is maybe sing a song together, or say the Lord's Prayer while it's being passed around. And after everybody does that, at the very end, the whole group says, Amen. So thank you for joining us today for the Beatitudes. We'll be continuing this next week. We'll also be sending out tomorrow some just like take home prayers and stuff that you guys can do with each other and your family. It'll be a prayer for each day and some questions. I like to sit down at the table and talk to my son about it, or sit outside, talk about God, talk about life. And there's some art stuff that'll be sent as well. And so I thank Jessie Cave, who is in our preschool classroom, who put this together for the week and for delivering it out to our Clarksville kids. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless.